Hello and welcome to the Home Screen Podcast. This is episode 12 and today I'm joined by Charlotte.
Hello.
Long time no see,
Well,
even though we live together.
yeah.
Today on this episode we'll be discussing and reviewing House of the Dragon Season 2, more specifically I guess the finale, but we're going to be talking about the season as a whole. The first few minutes are going to be spoiler-free thoughts before we dive into specifics of key events that happened over the season and key things that happened in the finale and where we think it's going to go moving past Season 2 into Season 3. Just to clarify, neither of us have read the book. I know a few bits of context, a few things that might happen moving forward, but we don't know how the story ends. So we're just kind of seeing it as it airs each week. So yeah, spoiler free, what did you think of Season 2?
I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think would have liked a bit more action,
Yeah.
but I also really enjoyed the different stories in it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the larger complaints, is that it feels like there wasn't quite as much action as people have wanted, because Season 1 ended like, okay, it's now going to be all out war, and the whole season's happened and not much war's really happened. It's just been a lot of build-up. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Overall, I think it was really strong.
Yeah. I just love the dragons as well.
It's so good.
They're stunning.
Yeah, there was some episodes especially with a lot of dragon stuff in it, which is so worth the wait to see.
Yeah, they're just so interesting. But yeah, I hope we get to see more of them in the next season.
Definitely
Yeah.
have to, because without saying too much in terms of spoilers, the way it ends is literally like there's nowhere else they can go apart from war now. This really is like, there can't be any more setup. It is literally just similar to how Game of Thrones Season 7 began, with all the players on the board. There's not much more that can really happen apart from just going to war, I think. So setting up for a very promising third season. Yeah, I thought this season felt a lot like early Game of Thrones seasons. There's only a few large like set pieces happening. A lot of it is just like dialogue and smaller things. I guess the closest is like Season 5 of Game of Thrones, where there was Hard Home, but apart from Hard Home and one or two things in episode 9 and 10, there wasn't tons of action. It was much more talk. A lot of political things happened, but there wasn't like huge battles and things really. I think it was a much slower season than Season 1. Do you reckon?
I thought it hit off quite strong at the start with some events.
Yeah.
Won't go into them until later. But I thought it went slower as it went on.
Almost like the first half of the season was the strongest, I think. The first 4 episodes were quite packed. There was at least one or two big things that happened each episode. And then episodes 5, 6, 7, 8, there's a few things sprinkled throughout there, but the first half of the season was definitely much more action-packed.
Yeah.
I think it does set things up well for next season. It just feels like it was lacking a lot of payoff.
How do you mean?
As in, there was a lot of build-up, but there wasn't like a really satisfying climax of a
Yeah.
massive battle or something.
Now we've got to wait 2 years.
Now we have to wait 2 years.
Oh.
But then next year, thankfully, there is The Last of Us.
That is
And
true.
there's another Song of Ice and Fire series coming out next year, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Stranger Things as well. It's coming out next. Is it next year?
Probably think so, next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Genevieve.
I guess like the second half of next year. I think they're still filming, but yeah. So there's will be good series next year. There'll probably be Season 2 Gen V as well.
Yeah.
Lots to look forward to. Okay, so that's kind of the end of the spoiler-free section. We can't really say much about the season at all without diving into specifics. So yeah, moving into spoilers now. I think the biggest issue, and most people's issue, was, like I said, that lack of payoff. It's fine having a slow season with lots of setup, but if there's no payoff, it kind of feels like wasted time. Like back in Game of Thrones Season 2, the whole season, there's lots of politics and people discussing and making alliances and things. But then episode 9 of Season 2, there's that massive battle of Blackwater Bay, where what's he called? Tyrion.
Area, yeah.
Where Tyrion blows up Stannis' Timothy Lannister. Where Tyrion blows up Stannis' fleet at Blackwater Bay. So it's kind of like there was a really slow season, but then there was a massive payoff episode.
Yeah.
And so something interesting that I saw today, from what I've seen online, this was initially going to be a 10-episode season, and HBO basically cut 2 episodes.
Oh, wow.
And basically said you need to take these episodes and basically put them into essentially Season 3. And the scripts were written for it. So I think the way it ends on such a tease, such a cliffhanger, I reckon they probably wrote a really big episode 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Because the way Game of Thrones used to function, it would like be build up, and then episode 9 of the season was like the big episode, and then episode 10 was like a bit slower setting things up.
Why have they done that for?
What it's interesting, it could be because of budget, it could be because it's a really expensive show with all the VFX, and they were like, we don't have the budget for a 10 episode, so we'll cut it to 8. Or it could be that they want to stretch it into, rather than being 3 or 4 seasons of 8 episodes, maybe they want it to be like 5.
No, but we've got to wait 2 years for the next season.
I know. So, but it seems like from the article that I saw on Twitter and what I've seen, it's just frustrating for the writing team, because the writing team essentially wrote the 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And then they were told they had to cut 2 of them, and then the writer's strike happened just before they were about to start filming. Then the strike ended, they had to start filming, they didn't really have time to rewrite the episodes to fit, this is now going to be an 8 episode season. So I think it is a bit, you can feel that, I think you can feel that it would end a bit prematurely.
Yeah, definitely.
But I guess then, even though it's frustrating now, I guess in the future, it does mean that season 3 will be even stronger, because
that is true.
The battles that were going to happen at the end of this one will probably happen at the start of the next one.
Yeah.
You'd hope. And then also, I guess that might have had some kind of impact on like the weird pacing. Like some storylines were like progressing painfully slow, because it was just like tiny scenes over every episode, like scattered. Like every time Corliss would come down and chat to someone outside his ship being fixed in the docks.
Yeah.
And I think she's called Rhaena, the daughter who was in the Vale, who was running through the fields looking for a dragon.
Oh yeah.
She had like over 2 episodes. We would have like 20 to 30 second scenes. It would just cut to her, and she'd be running, and then it would cut away.
I know. I'd like to see a bit more of her story, and
So
definitely.
I think the pacing was just a bit skewed, and I think that might be due to having the 2 episodes cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's my main complaint really, is the pacing. I don't want to sound too negative and down on this, because I still really did enjoy the season. I enjoyed a lot of the dialogue scenes. I think it's just cool hearing people just like talking in this time period, referencing like things in the past and things that are going to happen, and what did you like best?
Like the dragons.
Like dragons. Yeah.
I feel like I'm so rubbish at remembering. Like, I'll watch an episode and be like, oh yeah, or a season and be like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I've just forgotten
Well, it is like
what's happened. I
that's
remember some events.
Yeah, I guess
Like the
that's
ones that traumatised me.
so. Yeah, like at the start of the episode with blood and cheese, and then beheading Prince Jaehaerys.
Oh, such a vile scene.
Yeah. It's in fact, people like complaining, saying, "Oh, nothing happened this season." It's like, well, a lot happened.
I
Like
know.
that was in the first episode, like decapitating a child, and then the second episode was the twins fighting.
Yeah.
So like a lot of big stuff did happen really early on. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's kind of hard to remember what happened, what episode, because like with it coming out every week, it's like over 2 months. The dragons were really good in this, and they were really well used. I think the 2 big dragon episodes were episode 4 with the battle at Rook's Rest, and episode 9 with trying to get people to bond with the dragons at the sewing.
Yeah.
Which is so cool to see.
That was a good episode. And yeah, I feel like I'd like to know what makes a dragon bond with a certain person.
Yeah.
That'd be quite cool to include.
Yeah, definitely. Because the author of the books, George R. R. Martin, is still writing the Game of Thrones books. He's still writing the last 2. And he said that he does like weekly blog posts. And he said that it's something that he wants to address in his last 2 books eventually, if they ever get written, about like how and why dragons choose specific people. But it seems like in the show that like every dragon's really different.
Yeah.
Like Vermithor, the massive bronze fury dragon that was burning everyone alive, seemed to like bond with Hugh because he kind of like respected him, because he like stood up to him and was like showed bravery.
Yeah.
Like Silverwing was like just happy to have anyone. It was the dragons are really cool. And so I guess on the subject of dragons, episode 4 I think was the highlight for me. The Battle of Rook's Rest, when Rhaenys dies. The 3 dragon fights. That
was so sad.
It was.
I can't believe what Aemon did to Aegon.
Honestly, I think that was such a good episode, and from what I guess, it is a cool change from the book, because in the book Aemon doesn't purposefully burn Aegon. I think it's either Rhaenys that burns Aegon, or it's like accidental. So very clearly showing it was like sabotage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole sequence was just like incredible, of just seeing like a dragon fight above a battlefield and the impact it has to like the soldiers and how it really like changes Kristen Cole as a character afterwards. Like every scene afterwards, he's just like really distant and like freaked out.
That's what he gets.
Yeah, he had a hell of a season. The first 4 episodes being just essentially just like the villain, just going castle to castle, beheading people, building an army, and then he's just like shell shocked, doesn't know what to do for the last 4 episodes. So it'd be interesting seeing what he does next.
Yeah.
Seems a bit pessimistic about life at the moment. I think, again, I don't know where it's going to go with the books, but it seems like there's going to be something to do with. So do you remember in the very end of the episode there was like a montage of all the armies marching to battle, and it showed the Hightower's army marching to battle, and there was like a dragon that flew overhead. It was like a blue dragon. That's a dragon Tessarion, and that's ridden by. So Alicent had 4 kids: Aegon, Aemond, Helena, and then their 4th son, Daeron, who's like 16, 17 years old. We haven't seen him in the show yet because he's been raised in Old Town, and then that's the first time that he's like taken to wing, they said, like riding his dragon to war. But that'll be interesting because it looks like he's kind of coming to give them protection as an army. But obviously, I don't think Kristen Cole wants anything to do with dragons. He just kind of wants it to be army on army, and he doesn't want any more dragons near them. So
because he's scared.
Because he's, well, rightfully so. Also, the first time in the show that we've ever seen is like when a dragon dies and hits the ground, it like explodes like a bomb.
Yeah.
Like when Melee's hit the ground, it exploded and Sunfire. Because the only time you really saw that in Game of Thrones, spoilers for Game of Thrones, was when Viserion died, the dragon that got killed by the Night King. But then that just kind of like hit the ground and fell into the ice. It didn't like explode really. Yeah, that even in death, like a dragon, even you don't even want to be anywhere near a dragon on the battlefield, because even if your side's dragon wins, the other side's dragon is just like a bomb that's going to fall onto the battlefield. Especially if Vhagar dies, it's going to be like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, literally, so massive.
Yeah. What did you think of Daemon's arc in Harrenhal, where for like 6 of the 8 episodes he was just kind of like having weird visions every episode?
Yeah, every time he sort of came on with a story, in the back of my mind I was like, oh, where's this going? Yeah, very peculiar storyline.
Very odd. I think I'm glad it actually led to somewhere. If it was just him having visions and then he meets up with Rhaenyra and they just move on, but the fact that he had that full-blown Targaryen dream of like seeing the White Walkers, seeing Daenerys, that actually seems like it's changed him as a person. And then when Rhaenyra comes back and he's actually like, for the first time ever, he seems like he's like fully supporting her. Even when he bent the knee and stuff in past seasons, he always.
I was so happy when he did that.
Like seeing him like proper like chanting with the men, being like, "We fight for our queen." It's like, oh, he's actually like on her side now.
Yeah.
Which is so good because he's always so fast to act, and I feel like with him on her side now, he's actually going to go to war next season. Like he can't wait around any longer. It's actually going to be a fight.
Yeah. Speaking
of the finale. Specifically, what did you think of the meeting with the Triarchy, like the pirate, all the scenes of the pirates with the Lady Admiral and like mud wrestling and stuff, all that stuff?
And what she wanted to like.
She wanted him to have sex with her many wives.
Oh, that bit made me laugh.
It felt kind of goofy and like just really odd to have that. Introducing a whole new storyline and a new set of characters in the last episodes.
Yeah, it did throw me a bit, like, I felt a bit confused.
Yeah.
But it was good to watch.
I think that's more set up for the next season.
Yeah.
I guess it is kind of comic relief seeing Tyland Lannister just being like really uncomfortable with all the, because being a Lannister, he's so like prim and proper and like the top of the upper class, and then he's like pirates and mud wrestle and stuff. It was quite a funny contrast.
It was.
And then one of the last big things that happened really was Alicent eventually just like packing her bags and having a secret passage to Dragonstone, where she was basically, and then the conversation she has with Rhaenyra, which I thought was really good acting as well. Essentially basically saying that she'll fling open the gates and let Rhaenyra come and take King's Landing on the condition that Aegon will have to die.
I know.
But then Aegon then escaped with Larys. So yeah, I guess. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, or whether that's going to be later in the season. But technically Rhaenyra could just fly across. Yeah. In like episode 2 and just take King's Landing as long as Aemond's not there.
It's been interesting, the scenes with Alicent and Rhaenyra, how they've actually brought them together a couple of times.
which is not in the books at all.
Yeah.
From what I've been told, that it's like the two meetings they have, like in when she sneaks in and pretends to be one of the nuns, and then also when she's visited by Alicent on Dragonstone. So we'll wrap up soon. What do you want to happen next? Knowing with like, because it's ended with like all the armies are marching to war. Rhaenyra's now got 7 dragons, I think. Aegon has been like hiding away with Larys, going to Bravos. What do you want to happen?
I would hope for Rhaenyra's side to win. I suppose at the start I was like more mutual because of the whole like the poor baby being killed. I was like, oh no, I'm not supportive either side at the moment now. But as the season's gone on, definitely I think, is it the Blacks, Rhaenyra?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm rooting for them to win just because I think the Greens are all snakes.
It is just like the bad family tree of the Greens, because I feel like there's like, I think a lot of the advisors around the Green Council, apart from Larys, but like Maester Orwyle and Tyland, and I think it's the Master of Coin or Master of Ships. Like there's a lot of good advisors around them, but they're just trying to control Aegon and Aemond, who are just so different.
Oh no, so Aegon can't really do anything, and
Aemond's just like
won't listen to anyone really.
Won't listen to anyone, but also no one can tell him what to do because he's probably one of the best sword fighters in Westeros, and also has the most powerful dragons. So like Aegon said when Larys was talking to him, he was like, I can't arrest Aemond because like we need the dragon, we're going to lose the war without the dragon, so they literally just have to like let him be. But yeah, so you think that you'd like the Blacks to win?
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I would as well. I think the show is written to make them, they're the audience favourite, they're the protagonists, and everyone wants them to win more than the Greens. I don't want to say too much because I do know of a few things that happen in the book. If they are aiming to do 2 seasons, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Might be like dead dragons next season.
I hope not.
I hope
I
not.
like the dragons.
Yeah.
They're cute.
Well, shout out to Joe Buxton for making the dragons look really good.
Yeah.
Our
definitely.
friend was working on the VFX on the series, and I thought it looked really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So thanks for listening to this episode of the Home Screen Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a follow on social media, rate the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and give us a like on YouTube or subscribe. Thank you again for joining, Charlotte.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.